Trenton 365 with Jacque Howard. Profiling the businesses, organizations, and people that make Trenton better.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another edition of the Trenton 365 Show. I'm your host, Jacque Howard. Our website is Trenton365.com, Facebook page, Trenton 365 Show, and on Twitter at Trenton 365. You're watching us over WPHY, Channel 25, and covering all of Mercer County, New Jersey, and you're listening over WIMG 1300, the oldest radio station in the state of New Jersey, and you can follow us on Twitter as well at WIMG 1300 and Facebook as well, WIMG 1300. In the studio with me for this segment, I've got my friend Jodi O'Donnell Ames, who is the executive director and founder of Hope Loves Company, which is an ALS nonprofit. She's going to get into all the details about that shortly. And we've got a couple of young adults who are going to be joining us as well. Getting started, we have Mackenzie, who is a 19-year-old who is going to be here chatting for a little bit. And then after the break, Michael will be in as well. So we always like to have a very large, wholeness, all-encompassing group of people together to give you a full spectrum of exactly what's taking place. But without any further ado, Jodi O'Donnell Ames, welcome back to the Trenton 365 Show.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's always a pleasure to see you. And before we start talking about ALS, I'd love for you to share a little bit about your holistic approach to life and talk about some of the other things that you do with that.
That's interesting. That's a question for the first time that I've ever received anything like that. For me as a person, holistically, well, I try to eat clean and have a strong faith and be a good person and do things for my community and live the best life possible.
Mm-hmm. And talk about your massage therapy practice.
I am a certified massage therapist, and now that I'm running a nonprofit, I don't have as much time to see a lot of clients, but I do. It's my meditation, truly. To give massages is a gift that people think those who are lying on the table think that it's relaxing, but for me, it's a gift, and it's relaxing as well. It's meditative, and I feel very honored to massage the people that I do.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And I'm speaking from experience. I'm a certified massage therapist as well. And I was fortunate enough to have Jodi do some body work on me, and it was fantastic. And as a matter of fact, we're talking about reconnecting to have that done.
Mackenzie got one yesterday.
Awesome. So, Jodi, why don't you talk a little bit about what is ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease?
Sure. ALS is, the scientific name is amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Most of us know it as Lou Gehrig's disease, or ALS. Within the last 2 years since the Ice Bucket Challenge, many of us have now at least become familiar with that term, ALS. And it's a terminal illness. It affects mostly people between the ages of 40 and 70, men and women. And most patients who are diagnosed with ALS live 2 to 5 years. Mm-hmm. So it's a very sad and a very difficult disease on the entire family, because the person who's living with ALS loses the capacity to speak, to walk, to breathe, to eat. So it is debilitating.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you know that I'm going to get into the conversations in detail about this. Talk about your personal experience with ALS.
Sure, and it's interesting that you are asking this, and this is happening today. So I was 29 years old when my husband Kevin, my late husband Kevin, was diagnosed at 30 with ALS, and we had a toddler at home. And I was just looking through, she was 2 to 8 years old during his progression of the disease before he unfortunately passed. And I was looking through her room today. She's now 23, and there was a book that she used with her counselor at the age of probably 5 or 6 or maybe a little bit older, and she drew a picture of her mom and her dad, and he was in a wheelchair, and the counselor had written above it, "Today I received some very sad news about my family," and which brings it all to why I'm here. ALS wreaks havoc on an entire family. It causes a lot of pain, and everyone who is involved with the person that they love who is losing the ability to do things that are, we take for granted that we can do, They can be healthy 1 year, and many are athletes. Many served our country, and then within a number of years, they're totally debilitated in wheelchairs, maybe relying on a ventilator, a feeding tube, and then having to choose, whether they remain on a ventilator, whether they don't, and some also get infections. So the experience that I had with Kevin was 6 years of learning who I was, and as he became challenged more and more, he became even more incredible in his heroic journey, and it taught me that to be resilient and to honor the gift of being a caregiver, and to love every moment of it. Truly, that's how I felt. But it's not for everybody. But for me, to be someone's hands and someone's feet and someone's voice, and to know that you have 6 years to show that much love is amazing. It's a blessing.
Well, thank you for sharing that again. I really appreciate every time that you do and you talk about it. I want you to know that again publicly. Thank you.
No, thank you.
And I appreciate that. So what led you to start your nonprofit, Hope Loves Company?
Well, it's a crazy story, but 2 years after Kevin passed, I started working with the ALS Hope Foundation in Philadelphia. I was determined not to quit his fight, Kevin's fight, and to continue his fight through my work and my efforts. So I was working as Director of Communications, and I ordered this book called What Did You Learn Today for the children who were coming to a fun day with their families. Most of the children had grandparents living with ALS. And the man who delivered the book, Warren Ames, and his 2 children, Nora and Adam, his wife had died of ALS, and she was the author of the book. And we became friends, and 2 years later we married. And so I say that I was now a member of a family of 5 who is grieving, because I'm grieving, my husband's grieving, and our 3 children are grieving in different ways and in different at different times. But even though we're married and together, and we are moving forward in hope and in love, we also, every birthday, every Mother's Day, every Father's Day, every holiday is another time to reflect and to remember our loved ones and what we went through. We had all gone through the same thing. So started Hope Loves Company because all 3 of my children needed support and it wasn't available to them. So I promised that when they became independent adults, I would start Hope Loves Company, and so I did.
And it's been going for how long?
We became a 501c3 in 2012, but I've actually been working from my home since 2007 to get it established. So it's been a while.
And contact information for Hope Loves Company?
www.hopelovescompany.org. We're on Facebook and Twitter. We were on the Today Show recently. I don't know if you saw that. It was amazing. So if you Google the Today Show and Hope Loves Company, you'll find us there. And we are on Instagram. However, I'm really bad at that. So I don't know if you'll find anything on Instagram unless this one here helps me out.
We're going to be transitioning to Mackenzie in a second, but I want to make sure that I give a shout out to Warren. When we were having dinner a few months back, and we were talking about different things and how
you were amazing.
Thank you. We all need support, and oftentimes I think we don't know we need support, or we don't recognize the support that we're getting. And I want, again, to say, Warren, you are part of the team. You are doing some amazing things. And Jodi appreciates you. And I appreciate you because what you're doing with Jodi and for Hope Loves Company. So thank you for that.
And what you said at our dinner was just absolutely astounding and amazing. Great insight that I realized, and I was so glad to hear someone else verbalize it as well.
Excellent, great. So hopelovescompany.org
Yes.
is where people can find out all the information. A link to that will be on the Trenton365.com website and Trenton365 show Facebook page as well. And I'll probably send it out via Twitter also. So let's transition over to this lovely young lady you have here with you at your side. And oftentimes in this business, things just pop up. And earlier today, Jodi said, hey, I'm bringing a couple of young people with me. And I'm like, great, bring them in. The more the merrier. It's awesome. So, Mackenzie, why don't you give a little bit of background information about who you are and then talk about how you connected with Jodi and Hope Loves Company.
So, yes, my name is Mackenzie Anderson. I'm from Foxborough, Massachusetts, home of the Patriots. My mom was diagnosed with ALS in August 2014. When she got her diagnosis, it was such a lonely diagnosis because, first of all, it was right after the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. So the timing was just impeccable to me. I just couldn't believe what was happening in the first place, all the symptoms that she was experiencing since March of that year, that we had finally come to get the ALS diagnosis in August. And then, of course, with the timing of the Ice Bucket Challenge happening in that July, it was insane to me that what we were about to go through, and I knew what we were about to endure. So I started Googling on Google different things that would help children, just even of terminal illnesses, and I did come across Hope Loves Company, and I've reached out to Jodi independently and emailed her and just said, I need some help, I'm going through a tough time, what can you do? And she immediately responded the next day saying, oh my goodness, you were the sweetest thing ever, and called me up.
I was so impressed.
She called me up and we connected, and I took the train alone. I was 17 at the time. My first train ride at all. I took the train alone to Trenton, got off, Benton picked me up, and we were on our way to camp, and I had the best experience, and I just haven't stopped supporting Hope Loves Company since that experience. My mom recently passed this past March, but through this organization, I found the strength that I never knew I had, and it's just given me the inspiration to fundraise all I can for ALS. I have worked with the ALS Association in Massachusetts. I've raised over $55,000 for them through the Walk to Defeat ALS, and I've also raised $6,000 for Jodi through a paint party fundraiser that we did in Massachusetts before my mom passed away.
That's fantastic. And if I remember correctly, you were featured on a television program
Yes.
as well. Why don't you talk about that experience?
The Today Show. Yes. So we were fortunate enough to have the Today Show reach out to us and come to camp when we were in
New Jersey.
New Jersey. Because there's so many camps now. When we were in New Jersey, and it was seriously the most enlightening experience because I've known that this organization is amazing. My friends have known it, but for the whole world to now find out via a broadcast to literally everyone, because the Today Show is just so popular now, it was just so, it made me so extremely happy because I just wanted everyone, especially the kids that don't have anywhere to go to or didn't know that this company existed and are going through this lonely process of something where their parent or grandparent is passing away from a disease that just seems like it gives you no hope. To have that hope and to be like, I do know other kids going through this, was just something for me that I was so glad I could give back to the community.
That's fantastic. I think that's a fantastic story, and that's almost like the mission moment.
Yes.
So at 19 years old, obviously, I mean, you obviously miss your mother.
Yes.
And how has the process been for you going through your mother moving on from this planet?
They always say that it's going to get better, especially when you're going through something so tragic, and to watch your family member slowly be decapacitated with the ability to eat, the ability to walk and talk, and all of those things, and they always say it's going to get better. And it did in a sense that I didn't have to watch her suffer anymore, but it doesn't in the sense that I'm always going to miss her. And like holidays, her birthday, Mother's Day, those extremely hard times. I'm moving into college for the first time this coming fall at Penn State, and just knowing that she's not going to be there for those amazing moments, which she always thought she would be, is extremely devastating. And it's through people that have gone through the same experience that I do find my strength, especially Jodi. I can always call her no matter what time of day, know that she's going to be there to listen to me cry, to come, do whatever she can. Just having those people that have gone through the same experience as you and understand truly what you're going through has been extremely helpful.
Mm-hmm. And Jodi, I know that you and Mackenzie have regular conversations and you communicate together. What does it mean to hear this beautiful, lovely 19-year-old who's doing some amazing work, for her to share those words with you?
To me, honestly, I'm just honored that she wants to be with me and that she wants to be a part of this. She's, as you can tell, she's extraordinary. She's brilliant, she's caring, she's loving, she's energetic, and she's our very first young ambassador and our first recipient of a scholarship, Hope Loves Company scholarship, and she's also her mom's favorite color. Her family, the Anderson family, is also a sponsor for Camp HLC in Massachusetts, which Mackenzie brought to the attention of an ALS organization, because she said, hey, we need a camp in Massachusetts, and we're having one in a week because of Mackenzie. So what this means to me is that we do need each other's hope, and it is evident, and it is working. Does it make it go away? No. But for me, honestly, just sitting here and that she came to visit me and wanted to be with me is an honor, because I know that I'm doing something that is infectious in a positive way, that she can get something out of spending time with me and with other, like Michael and other children. We have 28 children coming to camp, and I know that many of them, if not most of them, will come to camp afraid, and such pain and worry, and then they'll see, like on the Today Show, the little 9-year-old girl who said her face went from very serious to this huge smile. This is the first time I've ever met someone else whose daddy also died of ALS. Even though that's so sad, the relief of knowing she's not alone is huge. And Mackenzie, God bless her, she came to camp a month after her mom's passing. And I know that was hard, because she was in that was a whole different approach to camp, you know. You're coming in with such loss. I mean, before that experience, you know it's coming, and you're exhausted, you're helping, you're caregiving. Mackenzie was up in the morning before school to help her mom, and then at nights, and I got to see that. I was there visiting, and I got to see her transferring and helping her mom, and you know, just the love that shines from her and from all of our kids is enormous. And I think the last thing that I do want to share is that it brings, in many of our children, it brings out things they shouldn't know at their ages, a maturity that they shouldn't have, but also an understanding. You know, it takes them on a different level, that to have gone through something at a young age, that they see the world a little bit differently. And that is very much in line with how I see the world, which, you know.
Thank you for finishing on that note. I'm quite emotional, you know, with things like this. And I'm glad that you two can connect, you know, via technology, and let each other know how you feel about each other. And for those of you who are watching and listening, it's critical that you open your mouth and you let people know how you feel. Because we don't have a lot of time, regardless of the circumstances, whether it's just our time. Let those folks know that you love them, and that you're there for them, and you support them, and you edify them, all those things.
It's true.
And I'm on this mission to make sure that everyone realizes the importance of that. And I'm glad that I could see you two do that here. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
One of the things that Hope Loves Company does is the camp. Talk about the details of how you came up with the idea and the concept for this camp, and where it is now nationally.
So with the few dollars we had in 2012, we decided to do a family fun day. And we don't want to charge any of our families anything. We want everything to remain free of charge. And so we had a family fun day, and the kids, after the 3 hours, were like, couldn't it be longer? We wish. And then it just came to me that a camp is a place to have fun, to meet new people, to try new things. It's something that children, as adults, remember as children, having that chance to be a kid and explore and learn and grow. And also, it would be a wonderful opportunity in that setting to have counseling, to have counselors, to have discussion. And so I started doing research, and many diseases did provide or do provide camps. So if you have a parent with cancer, there's a camp. I think it's called Camp Hope. I'm not sure. So there are. But because ALS affects 30,000 Americans, it's on a smaller scale than cancer. Nothing was available. So, and I love everything about camp. It is a chance we're in cabins, we're all together. The counselors are with the children. We eat camp food, we play camp games, we have bonfires, but then we also have sessions where we can just talk and be. And Michael, who I know you're going to have coming in momentarily, at our last camp, we now have one in New York, New Jersey, Indiana, and Massachusetts. Our last camp, he said to me, which to me was so profound, it doesn't matter which camp we go to, it doesn't matter what is available at that camp. What matters is we're all together. That's what matters, and that we have time together. And to me, that was everything that he recognized. And it seems to be a universal idea that it's just a chance to feel less alone, share how you're feeling, feel supported, feel embraced, and feel free to do that in a safe setting. So that to me was very profound when he said that, because it just, again, it's an aha moment that we put so much time and effort into planning everything. It takes about a year to plan a camp. And even Nancy, our director of communications, and I are working. We're working on schedules. We're working on chaperones, kids, parents, speakers, activities, and you think you have it all set, and then now somebody can't come. Or yesterday we had a young boy from Brooklyn, 13 years old. Mom has ALS. She's in assistant living. And we had a family reach out from New York. We had closed camp registration on Friday. Yesterday was Monday. And the woman called and said, please, I'm a family friend. He really needs this experience. He lives in Brooklyn. I don't think he's been to camp. And he just needs this opportunity. And so, okay, how can we squeeze in another person? And these kids are helping to communicate with each other and saying, oh, you're going to love camp, and do you have any questions, and they text each other and support each other. How amazing is that? So don't you?
Yeah. To kind of add on to what Jodi said about the importance of camp, the thing that sticks with me even to this day, at one of our camps, it must have been like a year and a half ago, one of the volunteers, Dr. Ron, came in and he had a breakout session with us, and he said something that stuck with me to this day, was that you have a group of kids that their life is encompassed by this illness. It's encompassed by disease. You walk into the house is disease. Like, you can feel the sadness when you walk into the house. This camp provides kids with a chance to still be kids. I think sometimes, especially going through such a hard illness, you forget to be a kid. You're taking care of your parent. You adopt this new persona where you now have to kind of be an adult already, even for some of these kids that are 13 or 9 or 6.
Or 6.
And you have to remember to be a kid, so this weekend and that camp gives them the opportunity to be a kid again.
And what was your experience like for you personally at the camp?
The first time I came to camp, I was anxious and excited, but mostly anxious because I had never been to somewhere so far away by myself, even at 17. But I went to camp not knowing anyone except Jodi via phone and email, and I met her in person, was first surprised by how short she was, and then we became fast friends. I was introduced to Michael right away, super nice kid, like one of my favorite people to still see at camp to this day, and just the quality of people surprised me. I never realized that every single person I've met through this disease, whether it be through Hopeless Company, whether it be through the ALS Association, whether it be through multiple other organizations, everyone is so nice. Like, there's no other word to describe it. So compassionate, caring, want to do anything that can help, because you learn all this knowledge in such a short time span. All this knowledge about how to do things, how to transfer, how to feeding tube, and you just want to give back, and you just want to pass on that knowledge to other people. And so I think that's the power of ALS in a way, is that it's something that never completely leaves your life. My dad was always someone that was like, well, after all this happens, I might not be a part of ALS stuff, and now he's going to help Jodi out at the next camp, and like, he just wants to spread his information that he's learned and help anyone that he can. So I think that's definitely the best part of camp, is that it's all people that want to help each other.
And I'm not quite sure if this is appropriate, but I feel it is. So you've got the female mindset of what you're doing, and your father, which more than likely multiple generations, just like me and other men, this hard exterior, oh, you're probably going to get to a certain point where it's not that big of a deal. But something happened where a metamorphosis took place within your father. And now he's in the game. And I encourage more men to do that. Get rid of this shell that we're wearing of our grandparents and great-grandparents. You can't cry, a man's supposed to do this. That has gotten us nowhere.
It's true.
And it's time for us to recognize that we can do some different things and make changes.
Feel the feelings.
Yes.
And express them, and
please
be a role
elaborate.
model that it's okay. Right. I want to share about Mackenzie's dad, Jeff. You know, he signed up right away, and I said, I'm just so proud. I'm like so happy that you're doing this. Because I know it's not easy. He just lost his wife of 25 years. And it takes some people years. You know, some people leave ALS totally. They turn their back on it and come back in 10 years. Some people never come back. Some people just want to fight it immediately and do so. But everyone is different, and you have to respect their differences. And he said, well, what do you want me to do? And I said, there are 8 boys coming to this camp. So for every man who is there, and they stay in the same cabin, I said, just be a dad.
There you go.
Just be a dad. Just love them. Teach them how to throw, skip a stone or skip a rock. You know, fish with them. Just be, you know, that loving presence. That's all we can do, is love them and just be that presence.
And that's a microcosm of a better community for everyone. One of the things, and we're coming up on a short break, but I'll tell the folks, I was invited to a networking event in Pennington, New Jersey, through a very good friend who is now deceased and moved on from his plane, Don Addison. Shout out to Don, who I like to consider a precursor of what I'm trying to do. And he said, look, you got to come to this event. I'm hosting it. I really want you to be there. Don, absolutely, I'll be there. Walk in. Of course, I know a few people there, and this little lady comes over to me after the introduction and says, I really want you to call me. And gives me her card. And launches right into her spiel. And anyone who's been to networking events, you know, you hear a bunch of those spiels, and you got a stack of business cards with you, etc. I said, I'm going to follow up with this lady. I've got to know, what is she so ambitious about? And then, of course, you know, I'm social media, I'm checking, like, wow. And that started our relationship, our friendship. And I say that because more of us need to be open to those opportunities. I could have taken the card and said, oh, okay, whatever. Or
assumed something.
Whatever, exactly. But now I've got this whole new perspective on something that affects so many people that I knew nothing about 5 years ago. And children are taking the lead on building a better community through this camp and through this organization. And not just in New Jersey or New York or Massachusetts, but also Indiana and wherever else they go from there. Like, you're leaving Massachusetts in probably a couple of months, and you're headed less than a month probably, and you're going to Penn State.
Yep.
So you're taking all that information with you. So again, kudos to both of you. I appreciate our friendship. I appreciate what...
Thank you for having me.
Sure thing.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate what Hope Loves Company is doing, not only for the people and their families who are, I don't want to say victims, but ALS has affected their life, but also for people like me who had no idea. So thank you for that.
Well, if it weren't for you and Trenton 365, I mean, we wouldn't be here. So thank you for reaching out and for what you do.
You're welcome. Folks, you've been listening and watching the Trenton 365 show. We'll be back after a short break. In the interim, go to the website, hopelovescompany.org.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You've accidentally cut your daughter's bangs unevenly. Do you A, line things up a centimeter from her hairline?
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
No. Sweatbands are so hot right now. Everyone's wearing them. Like that basketball player and that other basketball player.
B, get spiritual.
Mom, where did all the mirrors go?
A reflection could never capture our true selves.
Huh?
Beauty is within.
C, look on the bright side.
Less time blow drying, more time texting.
Or D, show empathy.
Mom, you really don't have
Ta-da! Twinsies.
I kinda love it. As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org/AZ. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
Call now, 800-974-3927. 800-974